We are here to share with all of you a very truly heartbreaking update.
Buffalo police and fire crews were called to the 400 block of Norwood Ave in the Elmwood Village just after 8:30 Saturday morning. Inside an apartment, 2 victims.
29-year-old Kathleen Katie Carrig and her 4-day-old infant Noah Carrig.
Throughout the weekend, investigators began uncovering horrific details of what was first considered a tragic fire.
And that fire investigation has developed into a homicide investigation,
with 30-year-old Kadani Hale at the center of it.
The allegations are that Mr. Hale murdered Kathleen Carrig by strangulation, and that he had done so prior to intentionally starting the fire. We anticipate that the evidence is going to show that he intentionally started the fire with gasoline.
Erie County District Attorney Michael Kane says that Hale and his girlfriend Kathleen Carrick lived in the apartment together and was the father of 4-day-old Noah. Hale survived the fire that he allegedly started and was hospitalized for several days. In the subsequent days, investigators pieced together the working theory that it was Hale that killed his girlfriend, and there was enough evidence to go to the grand jury.
That when he was discharged from the hospital yesterday, he was not released. He was taken into custody on the indictment warrant. That is, that is great work.
But it's work that takes a toll for those responding to the scene.
Every one of the firefighters there was affected a great deal, especially when anytime an infant or a child is involved in a fire, it takes a toll on us. So, but all of our firefighters, we had our behavioral health team responded to the incident, responded to the scene.
The district attorney said the investigation is almost wrapped up, and he expects to be able to announce details about the death of 4-day-old Noah Carrig to the public very soon.
I will be reporting the answer to that very shortly, I promise you. The investigation is almost complete.
Erie County District Attorney Mike Kane says he has placed new information about DJ Granville into a database of police officers who could testify at trial and whose credibility has been called into question by a judge. The DA's office says Granville's name was added to an internal database that tracks officers whose credibility has been questioned in court. Other DA's offices call this a Brady list, referring to the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that prosecutors must turn over evidence concerning the credibility of witnesses, including police officers, to the defense. That decision follows a federal judge's ruling and court documents that allege Granville and members of his narco unit were caught on video staging evidence, conducting illegal searches, and misleading a judge during a drug raid on Buffalo's east side.
Any defense lawyer that sees Granville's name on any sheet of paperwork now is got to talk to the person that he's representing, saying that there's a ray of hope here, that we can get this case dismissed.
Chris Horvatitz, a spokesperson for Garcia, released a statement saying the statement, quote, pertains to discovery and disclosure obligations. It does not impeach Chief Granville's credibility and does not prevent him from rendering testimony. It is important to note that in his decision, Judge Arcara wrote that the court did not make any explicit credibility finding with respect to Chief Granville. Horvatitz went on to say other police agencies continue to seek Granville's assistance. Granville was also suspended for 30 days this summer after pleading guilty to reckless driving and leaving the scene of an accident for a series of hit-and-run crashes he caused on Buffalo's west side. He did not respond to a request for comment. On your side in the newsroom, Charlie Speck, Channel 2 News.
My mother was a very active, very independent, very whimsical 88-year-old.
Mary Brennan Taylor's mom, Alice, also lived in her own home and drove herself to the events in her busy social calendar. In 2009, she went to the hospital for gout. 11 days before that, she went to the ER with neck pain and was prescribed Flexeril, but didn't take it. A few days later, her neurologist told her to never take it because of the bad side effects for someone her age. But when she was admitted for gout, they started giving her that medication.
And it was on her chart in the hospital and unfortunately was given to her. So I asked if that could be removed. Please stop giving her this medication. And unfortunately, the die was cast at that point. She continued to spiral downward. And here was somebody who entered a hospital totally on top of her game, planning to go to her 70th high school reunion, and ended up dying under hospice care.
In just 6 weeks, Alice was gone. That horrifying experience inspired Mary to co-found Team Alice, which educates medical students at UB and other schools, professionals, and families about infection control and what can happen when older people are prescribed wrong medications.
You should not go into a hospital in this country, for gout and end up dying from sepsis.
There's also a medication safety and empowerment program in Erie and Niagara County for older adults to learn ways they can advocate for themselves. One thing you can do is bring all of your medication to your doctor so they can see what you're taking.
It's not just those prescribed medications. Go to that cupboard and clear out everything that's in there that you take more on a regular basis. We don't need the things that you take, every 3 years, just the ones that you're taking now.
Mary thinks her mom would be pleased with this legacy.
She'd be glad that it's helping people. She'd be glad that we would be trying to save the Alices of today.
Well, Marineland, like the jingle used to say, everyone loves Marineland, and everyone loved Marineland.
Once a popular tourist spot in Niagara Falls, Canada, Marineland showcased countless marine animals. Now, the focus is on finding safe homes for those that remained.
We've got to work on making sure that we do what's right for each of them. We think we can be a partner in this with Marineland.
Charles Vernick, CEO of the Whale Sanctuary Project, wants to help. The team just got a green light from Nova Scotia for a 20-year lease to build a coastal refuge.
We look forward now to being able to move forward into on-site construction, the installation of nets after we fabricate them.
But it doesn't come without concern. Marineland has raised worries about the site's history as a gold mine. The Whale Sanctuary Project says the area is safe and ideal for relocation.
We've done all of that work. Those studies are reported fully on our website, and the studies conclude that there are no risks for the whales or for people that are working there.
I think the scientists working with the Whale Sanctuary Project are reviewing all the different risks for the animals and want to ensure their best welfare. And this is, the most natural environment.
Multiple governments and groups are working to find a solution. The mayor of Niagara Falls hopes the site can once again boost the local economy.
It's a huge piece of property, more than 800 acres. So it could potentially be 3 Magic Kingdoms. It could be turned into a spectacular world-class attraction. But the first issue and the biggest challenge is the whale.
Last month, the City of Tonawanda Zoning Board approved a variance request that will allow a cannabis growing facility to move into a residential neighborhood. Lifelong City of Tonawanda resident Heather Lamar and other neighbors say they oppose this change.
We all have the same goal. We want that sense of community from our neighborhood, and bringing such, any kind of a commercial business into our backyards is going to do the total opposite of that.
Lamar says in July, neighbors received a public hearing notice in the mail 4 days before the hearing was scheduled.
The public hearing notices really are very vague and just specified that they wanted to operate a commercial business out of this property. Anything that is this close to your house and your children, you are going to find out about it.
Lamar says dozens of neighbors attended several public hearings to express their frustration and ask questions. She says the zoning board was not receptive to their concerns. City of Tonawanda Mayor John White says he believes the board did their research.
They took it on themselves to go take a look at another municipality on how it works. And they saw that, we're going to give it a 1-year trial period and see how it works.
After 1 year, the board will revisit the topic and hear from residents. White says he believes the facility could be a good thing for the city.
It's a good attempt for the city to increase the revenue. It's a good attempt for the city to get up to date. Past other municipalities are doing it, taking advantage of it. It was just a situation that they came to us and said, can we do it? And we said, you got to follow the rules and regulations, and these are the codes that we have in place that you need to follow. And we followed them, and so did they.
This is the original order to show cause.
If the 18-day wildcat strike didn't last long enough,
here's the second amended petition.
It appears the wheels of justice.
Here's the third amended complaint.
To resolve the remaining cases against some of those involved,
here's the fourth amended complaint.
Are spinning even slower.
Yes, they are.
While the state originally sought an action for contempt against 8,000 prison guards who went out on strike in violation of the Taylor Law, the number of defendants now stands at only 27. West Seneca attorney Ralph Larigo represents 26 of them.
Because the state has realized that a lot of those people were legitimately out on FMLA, on workman's comp, on other types of legitimate leave, on vacation, and they systematically withdrew them.
The state eventually withdrew its intent as well to seek monetary penalties, potential jail time, and a prohibition on guards who struck from working for any other state-sponsored agency. And while the state ended up firing 2,000 corrections officers who refused to go back to work,
They got to have somebody run the jail.
those fired were told they could get their jobs back under certain conditions.
One, you're on 3 years probation. Two, you give up your right to litigate against the state. And three, you can't criticize the state. If you criticize the state, you violated your probation and you're done, and you've already given up the right to sue.
His clients are among those who said no deal.
They believe they're correct, they believe they're right, they believe the state is wrong.
On your side, Dave McKinley, Channel 2 News.
State and local lawmakers gathered today along Seneca Nation leaders to discuss economics.
We're here to stay, we're not going anywhere, and we're going to make life better for our people.
A new independent report by Meister Economic Consulting shows the Seneca Nation is one of Western New York's most powerful economic engines.
We don't need any incentives to stay, nor do we require any investment on your part. We're committed to be here forever.
According to the report, Seneca Nation government and business operations generated nearly $2 billion in total economic output, which supports more than 8,000 jobs and over $540 million across a 16-county region.
And while consultants might debate the economic development strategies, we're executing one. Our strategy is to keep the wealth and the earnings locally.
The Nation is the 12th largest employer in Western New York, providing more than 4,600 jobs on its own. And while the 3 casino properties are the most visible enterprises, Seneca leaders stress the nation's economic reach is far more diverse, touching other fields, including healthcare, hospitality, construction, agriculture, and essential public services.
And the last thing of this strategy is that our measure of success is not measured every quarter, it's measured in every 7 generations. That's how we make decisions. That's how we make business decisions.
Read this clearly. According to the Centers for Disease Control, an estimated 6,000 construction workers died by suicide in 2022. Around 1,000 died from construction accidents that same year. A webinar featuring experts put together by Spectrum Health talked about it.
That same trend is playing out in Erie County because we wondered that. And we look back at the last 2 years. In 23, we lost 7. It was the highest industry. We lost 7 individuals to suicide in construction, and then 10 in 2024.
Experts tracking the numbers say the construction industry has one of the highest suicide rates among professions. One of the reasons has to do with workers on the road for days and weeks. Another, injuries and opioid misuse.
When people are worried about their financial health, their physical health, relationships that can get strained because of isolation, all of those stressors become increased risk factors for suicide.
The Suicide Prevention Coalition has been involved with workers on the new Bills Stadium.
They actually have a full-time social worker on staff because many of those individuals are coming from different locations. They're separated from family. So it's been nice to see that even in this big project locally that they are attending to the needs of the workers.
So companies can do something.
Policies need to change too, second chance agreements when it comes to whether it's substance use or mental health issues, extended leave, PTO, things like that. I think that's an area that we really need to focus in on when we talk about construction organizations and unions to really support mental health.
For the GM Tonawanda propulsion plant making new engines, to the Ford Hamburg stamping plant turning out car body parts, and the overall auto industry, the Trump administration's changing tariffs policies and U-turn on electric vehicle mandates and rebates has a ripple effect.
According to CEO of Ford, Jim Farley, he said he's in contact with the White House almost every day about tariffs and trying to figure out what's going on.
Earlier this week, General Motors announcing that tariffs took a smaller than expected, roughly $4 to $4.5 billion bite out of their third quarter earnings. They specifically mentioned the previously announced $888 million investment at the Tonawanda engine plant for advanced, more fuel-efficient, but still gas-powered V8 engines for their big profit-making pickups and SUVs. Perhaps Ford will have better news as well.
This is good news for the Tonawanda plant for having more demand for the engines, and they make some pretty good engines there for like the Corvette and for other larger vehicles, so that's great for them. It's also not bad news for the Ford stamping plant because the Canadian plant for Ford has changed from making electric, saying, nah, you know what, I guess we're just going to sell more gas-powered ones.
On the other hand, for those GM and Ford car auto assembly plants in Canada, which are closer to Western New York than Michigan, still tariff uncertainty and perhaps trouble as perhaps more production goes to the Midwest.
There has been increasing pressure by the Trump administration in exchange for reducing some of the tariffs on some of the rebates and things. They actually want GM, Ford, and Stellantis to start putting more in the U.S., and the easiest place for them to move is to move it from Canada to the U.S. Buffalo, we have an engine plant, we have a stamping plant, we don't have an assembly plant, so that they could go to an integrated stamping and assembly, more of that model, and they probably would not add an assembly plant in Buffalo.
This morning's arraignment started promptly at 11 a.m. inside that Virginia courtroom where she pleaded not guilty to 2 felony charges, bank fraud, and making false statements to a financial institution. The accusations from prosecutors stem from a home purchase Attorney General James made in 2020. Prosecutors allege that James misled a bank by claiming the house she bought in Norfolk was her second residence, even though she was renting it to a family of 3. They say that false claim helped her secure a better mortgage rate, which prosecutors allege saved her about $18,000. James, outside of that Virginia court today, calling the case a tool of revenge from President Trump, who himself has faced prosecution by James in the past.
This justice system, which has been used as a tool of revenge and a weapon against those individuals who simply did their job and who stood up for the rule of law.
James has called the allegations baseless, saying they follow President Trump's public call for the Justice Department to prosecute her and others, including former FBI Director James Comey. Her legal team is now moving to have the case dismissed, just as Comey's attorneys have done in his own federal indictment. A hearing on both motions is scheduled for later in November. A trial date has been set for January 26, 2026. The judge estimates the trial will last about 5 days. On your side, Alyssa Clausell, Channel 2 News.
I'm standing right here at the ramp of the Kingston Expressway, where you can still see the markings right there where investigators say 2 15-year-olds crashed into a 54-year-old woman's car just after 11:30 last night. Police tell me that woman was thrown from her car and died right here at the scene, and tonight they're investigating how an unlicensed 15-year-old ended up behind the wheel. Cheektowaga police say the crash happened at the intersection of Union Road and the eastbound Kensington off-ramp. They say a black Toyota Highlander driven by a 15-year-old crashed with the white Toyota Scion. Investigators say the driver of the white Toyota was ejected during the crash. Officers tried life-saving efforts, but the 54-year-old woman was pronounced dead on scene. Police say both teenagers are now part of an active investigation, working with the Erie County District Attorney's Office to determine possible charges. Investigators are now looking into how an unlicensed 15-year-old person was driving a vehicle. On your side in Cheektowaga, I'm Alexandra Rios-Malvia, Channel 2 News.
It took 7 weeks.
I mean, I was screaming at the TV sometimes.
But Michael Hoyt and Larry Ogunjobi are back in the mix for the Bills.
It sucks to watch, but you just get to diagnose the game and all those kind of good things and see what we can be better at and how it can make an impact. So I think it's important. I'm just ready to get back out there.
It's fun to, be out there hitting blocks, playing the actual game of football, making close calls, just doing all the things that are tough to do when you watch on TV and you don't actually know the calls. So it's just great to be back out here.
Hoyt and Ogunjobi had to watch from afar for the past month and a half, with each player serving a 6-game suspension for PEDs. But now, coming off the bye, Hoyt and Ogunjobi are practicing on this field with the Bills for the first time this regular season. However, each player already has a comfort level from being around the team during camp, preseason, and even the second half of their suspension.
The philosophy I'm taking is basically they traded for me at the deadline and I'm coming in already knowing the playbook.
Just camaraderie, you want to be able to support your teammates, going through ups and downs of the season, but just being around the guys, being able to train here, have fun, smile, move around, and then just get to go working. So I think it was, paramount.
The two handled the initial part of the suspension differently. Hoyt doing work at the Hamburg High School softball fields, Ogunjobi back to his collegiate stomping grounds in Boulder, Colorado. The last 3 weeks, both players were able to be in the facility working out. Now with the suspensions over, Hoyt and Ogunjobi ready to be fully back with the team and do their part to help turn the defense around.
I think what we're trying to do is come in and be the 111th that we're supposed to be, the 111th that, they were building around in training camp and sort of put the whole team together.
I've been to the Super Bowl and I've been 0-16, you know what I'm saying? So I understand, both sides of the spectrum. I understand there's ebbs and flows in the seasons, there's ups and downs, but the biggest thing is to stay together and, to get this thing back on track.
On your side in Orchard Park, Jonathan Acosta, Channel 2 Sports.